Hi everybody, welcome back to the homestead. Today you get Katrina. We thought it was a good idea, I guess last fall when we got here. We're driving around, hiking around, doing all kinds of stuff, and we see a ton of rose bushes. And every one of these rose bushes have rose hips on them. So Kim looks at me and says, what can we do with rose hips? And when I Googled it, it actually said you could make rose hip jam. Now, we couldn't do it last year because they were already kind of dried and shrivelly, so we did it this year. Well, rosehip jam is a lot like the dandelion wine that was my idea. So they're super tiny. So there's bigger ones, little ones, the whole thing. And one of the directions said you're supposed to slice them in half, scoop out the insides. And I thought 8 cups of rose hips like this and having to cut them in half and scoop them, Kim might kill me, even though it was her idea. So another article I read talked about cooking them down, running them through a sieve. Because we tasted the rose hips, they were really good.
They are.
But they've got these little seeds in them, and you don't want the little seeds because they're real crunchy, not like raspberry seeds.
Right.
So we didn't want them in there. So we're actually in the process. We foraged for all of these rose hips. Then we had to sit and pull all the little tips off of them and get all this like sticky stuff all over our fingers.
What was the cool thing that happened though while we were foraging for rose hips?
We saw a moose.
And
Moose and a baby. And we actually
Twice.
saw it twice. Same area, really, really cool. Kind of scared the crap out of me a little. Kim and I were separated, and I'm, bent over foraging, and I hear this crack like a branch, but not like a branch, like a tree cracking. And I knew at that point what it was and looked up, and I could see them coming through the stand of birches. And I yelled for Kim, who couldn't hear me, and it stopped.
but again, they were like 60 yards away.
Yeah.
So
And we actually followed him. I have a little video I haven't gone through where I'm whispering like this, following Kim.
but that was the coolest thing that happened foraging for rose hips.
Definitely. But we are gonna cook these rose hips down, run them through a sieve, go through the rest of the recipe. It does require a lot of sugar. And we're gonna can this up today, so I'm not sure how much we're gonna get. But rose hips are a great source of vitamin C.
Yep.
So be good in the winter to get a nice natural source of vitamin C. See how it is on like toast and whatever. So we'll come back a little bit later after these cook down. They have to cook and get soft and mushy, and then we'll run them through the sieve and go to our next step. So step 1 of rosehip jam. It's actually, the recipe I saw is actually marmalade because there's oranges and lemons and stuff. Oh my.
Okay.
See you soon.
All right, bye.
Alright, so we're back. You can probably, I don't know, you can't hear them, but the rose hips are still going in the background. I'm prepping everything else. So I had 2 lemons. I zested the whole lemon. I'm supposed to juice the orange. I'm going to grate up the apple. And then the fun part, which I think I might actually make Kim do this, we're supposed to actually cut up the orange, remove the membrane, whole thing. And then all of that, once the rose hips, I keep wanting to say cranberries because Kim says cranberries. Once all that's done, it's all going to go together with a ton of sugar and cook up, and then we're going to can it. So step 2.
Do we need to use pectin?
Well, there's this whole thing about taking certain parts of, it's the apple core, the lemon seeds, this whole thing goes in a bag for pectin, but it still comes out really loose, so it says to add pectin. I might just bail on the whole natural pectin thing and go with the other stuff, because we know I don't do well with pectin anyway. I have pectin issues.
We'll get it figured out.
We will.
Okay.
Peace out.
Hey everybody, Kim here on the homestead. So we're making the rosehip marmalade, and trying to pan in here for a second. So all of our citrusy scraps we don't feed to the chickens, but we put them in the compost. So the lemons and stuff, I'll cut them into strips like this, and the
Oranges too.
oranges, and then yes, I take the time to do this and cut them all down. And I learned this actually back in Pennsylvania when we were composting back there. We would just chuck everything in the compost whole, and it would never break down. It'd be like I'd turn it 2 years later and there was still like whole pieces of fruit in there. So when we got out here to Montana and really started composting diligently, this is what I started doing with everything citrus. If we have grapefruit, anything like that. The other stuff like banana peels, the chickens actually love banana peels.
Banana peels.
So those I'll cut up into small pieces for the chickens as well. But you know, this actually helps it break down much easier. So everything citrus, I take the time and I just do this.
But we've been using a ton of that compost already, and we've only been here a year. So
yeah, and even the pieces that are showing up in the compost are already dry and brittle, so they'll break down pretty easily too. But anyway, like we said, we're living the lifestyle, so we're using every possible thing we can. Most people would just chuck this in the trash and that'll be it. Goes into landfill, never gets used. We use it all, baby. All right, that's my part of the gig. I cut up the oranges over here with the...
You supremed them also.
With the lemon peel. And then Katrina in front of her has the green apple shreds in the lemon juice right now. So
that looks attractive. So
they don't turn brown. But yeah, just want to share the whole process and everything that we do. And tedious, I don't care. I got all the time in the world. All right, cheers from the homestead. Bye.
All right, welcome back. Welcome to Rose Hip Central. So, cooked them down, directions said, till they got mushy. And now I'm scooping them 1 scoop at a time into the sieve here. I did do 2 scoops the first time, but it's not Raisin Bran, so 2 scoops is too much. You can see it's kind of soft. All I'm going to do is work everything around and get all the juice and the goodness out of the rose hips. And if you look in there, that's what I'm getting.
Yummy.
Now, with the marmalade, I should have had chunks. It would have been nice to have some rose hip chunks in here, but we noticed as we were foraging all the different roses. So some of them were really tiny. We did find this one kind of rose. They were huge. They were like grape size and were soft. They were really good. Kim and I each ate one. So that, the skin from those may have been fun. There just wasn't a lot of them and kind of wasn't worth it. So maybe next year we'll find more of those and do it differently. But this is the next step. So we're just going to go in. There's a lot of seeds, and the seeds are really, really hard. Kim thought about putting this into her compost and then was afraid that we would get overrun by all these wild roses. So there's the junk.
So there's tons of seeds in there, and I thought about it, and compost is probably not a good idea. So we'll actually just go out and put that in a squirrel hole, and the critters can have that. But we have all the other stuff prepped. So got the apples and the lemon right now. I got the oranges and the lemon peel, and then the other stuff for the compost I cut up to go out. There's 2 eggshells sitting there from breakfast this morning. We had waffles, Mickey Mouse waffles. And you also see there's a cork sitting there with some nice red wine last night with dinner. So, living the life here on the homestead. It's all fun. Every day's fun. Yesterday, we were cutting giant limbs off of a giant tree and carrying them around like monkeys and working our butts off for the whole 6 hours. And today, taking a little time off and making rose hip jam, jelly, marmalade, stuff. So anyway, all right, say bye, Katrina.
Bye, Katrina. I don't know if it looks good at this point, but we've taken the rose hips, looked like tomato paste, the apples, oranges, lemon juice, lemon zest, and water, mixed it all together. We're going to heat this up, boil it hard for like 30 minutes, take it off, and see what's next. Stay tuned. All right, last video for our rose hip marmalade. I put everything in the canning jars, and I went with jelly jars. So, let's see. Ooh.
So we got 10.
Yep, 10 half pints, and then one of those little tiny jelly jars.
Cool. Fun Christmas presents.
Yep. So,
awesome.
Montana made, fresh picked, rose hip marmalade.
Yay. Nice job.
Thanks, and it was really good.
Cool.
Bye, peeps.
Cheers from the homestead.